What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DeadBall TV podcast. We have a very special guest, a personal friend of mine, an extremely talented artist, Chu. Thanks you for coming on the podcast,
my
man.
My pleasure.
I'm very excited for this conversation. We've been having a lot of y'all ask for more like African content, and I think we got an expert on the podcast today. So this is going to be all about Nigerian football. We'll probably branch off into a few other topics as well, but that's going to be the main focus for this episode. I will put all the timestamps down below in the description, so you can skip to whatever part of the video that most interests you. And Chu, if that's okay, I can put maybe a link to some of your social handles down below if people want to like check out your artwork and everything.
Sure. I'd be honored.
Okay. This guy is crazy talented. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. This guy really knows what he's doing. Might be the future Picasso one day. Might be looking at him right here.
You're so kind.
You could say that you found him on DeadBall TV, football channel. But let's get right into this current Nigerian squad. So I had a lot of questions prepared for this segment. There's a lot of things that I personally am curious about Nigeria that I want to ask you, but I think we have to start with the manager. And I say that because I am beyond shocked that this man was appointed manager of the Nigerian national team, and that's Jose Peseiro, you said his name was?
Yeah, that's his name.
Just for some context for people listening, this man, before he was appointed Nigerian manager, he was the manager of Venezuela for 10 games, and he won one of them. He's currently been in charge of Nigeria for 7 games. Chu, do you know how many he's lost as Nigerian manager?
He's lost a bunch. Definitely more than he's won.
He's lost 5 of the 7 games in charge. The only wins you guys have under Peseiro is against Sao Tome and Principe and Sierra Leone. Can you just talk about this manager for a second? Like, one, why on earth do you think a team as talented as Nigeria would appoint a guy like this? And also, with the way results have been going, do you see this guy lasting much longer in charge?
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. It's a pleasure. I grew up in Nigeria before I moved over here, and all my life I've been involved in Nigerian soccer. Though currently we all talk about the global game, but Peseiro is a product of a systemic decay that Nigeria is going through. Sometimes I look at him, I don't really blame him. It's the condition that the country has degraded to. Because somebody with his pedigree should not be coaching Nigeria. He doesn't have that fiber, that quality. Nigeria has some of the finest world-class players, like everybody knows. So they need an equally world-class coach. So it started out with, like I was telling you off online, that Pinnick, who was the chair for the Football Association over the years, he picked this guy personally. And you don't pick a coach out of your own personal preferences. You set up like a group of people that have quality and know what they're doing, and then you set up like a requirement and find a way to pick the best. One of the criteria Nigeria at this point should be talking about winning the World Cup. It's not just getting a coach.
Okay.
Nigeria, I remember in 1994, Nigeria was number 4 on FIFA.
On the rankings.
On the rankings.
Wow.
And then prior to that tournament, Pelé predicted that Nigeria and Brazil will play in the finals. Nigeria had their greatest generation, Amokachi, Finidi, all those guys. So Nigeria is not like a country that is trying to make a name or trying to come up to the table of nations, of elites, of countries that are known to play real soccer. So Nigeria degraded in the last 5 to 10 years. And, unfortunately, I have to blame Pinnick because it comes from the top. The administrator establishes a goal, a mission that everybody follows. So his mission was skewed, was stunted, was off the mark for him to appoint this guy. Prior to that, he brought Raw, who I think constrained Nigeria for all the time he was there. Again, he was not up to that pedigree. So it's all a combination of corruption, incompetence, lack of vision, not knowing the quality you have and not appreciating your players for who they are, and kind of pairing them with the wrong fit of coaches over all these years that brought Nigeria to where they are today. So of course not. Posero is, I wouldn't even say a second rate, he's a third rate coach.
Fourth rate, you could argue.
Or even a Kalina. I'm just trying to be
You
generous.
might be better managing Nigeria.
I'm just trying to be generous.
Yeah. You're being
He's
very
not
diplomatic.
a bad man. He can coach a club or a smaller country and succeed. But Nigeria is one of the elite in world football.
Mm-hmm.
And they require elite coaches. They are way past where they just have to throw their destiny to the hand of somebody who's not up to that level. And this guy is not up to that level.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think when you look at recent Nigerian managers, it always surprises me when I see the profile of coaches that are chosen. You know, because like you said, we're talking about, if we want to highlight one player and specifically Victor Osimhen, you know, one of the best forwards in world football.
Right.
You know, but that's not the only area of the field that Nigeria has quality. You got guys like Wilfred Ndidi, Chukwueze, Moses Simon, your favorite.
Ademola used to be.
Yeah, he used to be. Calvin Bassey, good player. Good player.
Olaina.
Couple good guys in the back line. Exactly.
Zaidu.
Yes. Zaidu's Porto,
Bunch of
right?
them. Right, Porto.
Yeah. So you expect a manager, maybe not a first rate, because first rate rarely go international football, but to your point, at least a second rate manager.
Yes.
And when I look at the Nigerian managers of the past 10 years, I don't even know who they are. Yeah. And I think it's crazy that you guys are so talented, but you can't get in a high profile coach.
Again, it's a consequence of those who run the administrative profile of Nigerian football. Because you have to be serious. You have to show that you're committed. You have to keep your words. A lot of these players are still owed money from 3 years playing for Nigeria. But because they are well off, they're not complaining. So what does that do for their psyche, for their morale? You know, they don't take you seriously. And then when Nigeria completed their tournament at the World Cup, I think they had, most countries that got to where they were got 8 million from FIFA. That money should have been enough to kind of put it into the infrastructure, which is what we're going to talk about again. That's one of the problems Nigeria have, infrastructure, and use the money to establish a coaching staff that would be up to par with modern football techniques. It's not just about the coach. You should also consider the personal trainer, psychotherapist, physiotherapist, nutritionist. These are all elements. Scout, the coaching staff. It's not just the coach. So you have to invest in all these things because they all work together. It's not just the coach. You have to bring in all these other experts who are kind of trained experts in all the facets that make success. So they didn't do that. And who do you look up to for that flaw or failure? The same guy.
Your guy, Pinnick.
Because he was there. And the painful thing is that he's supposed to be the exposed one because he was a CAF vice president. He was a FIFA official. So he knows these things, or he should know these things. And he should bring that knowledge back to his country and apply those things. But obviously, he didn't do it because his choice of coaches is what led Nigeria down this hill of failure.
So in terms of things that you think are holding back Nigerian football, like you're kind of talking about Pinnick's incompetence. I think you could classify that as corruption to some degree. Where is the 8 million from the FIFA World Cup? Like you said, that should be enough to pay the players. I was reading that the last coach is owed wages.
Yeah, even this current one, I'm reading that they still owe.
This guy's not getting paid. Where's all the money going? But I'm not super familiar from my point of view what the infrastructural problems are. Like when you say that, are you talking about Nigerian club football? Are you talking about the youth national teams and like kind of like the pipeline? Or can you expand on some of the infrastructure problems with Nigeria?
It's all the things you said plus more. First of all, the infrastructure. If you want to play soccer, good soccer, you have to have a good pitch, a good stadium. They don't have it. They tried to do something that I heard in Abuja. And one of the philanthropists contributed his money to help refurbish the stadium. Which country does that? You don't leave that to the whims of charity.
Individuals.
From individuals.
Yeah.
It has to be a push by the football administration, and then if individuals come, they will be complementary. They are not supposed to be the spear, the arrowhead to do that. So they did it. Maybe it's okay, but they didn't do it well. So currently, the country don't have world-class quality pitch to play. Most of these guys play in Europe. They're used to good pitches, good grass, not the artificial turf, real grass.
Right.
That's what they're used to. That reduces, like injuries and let the ball bounce and flow better or best. So Nigeria don't have that. So that should be one of the prime things. Invest in infrastructure, in football, the right football pitches in terms of stadium, training pitches, access to youth football, and the women and all kinds of national teams should have their own pitches or specific places that they play. And then they didn't do that. So also they have pulled back from what Nigeria used to be known for, the youth tournaments and youth football, grassroots soccer, picking from all the nooks and crannies of the country, people that are able and talented, and bringing them under the umbrella of the under 17, under 15, under 9, under 21. Nigeria has won a lot of World Cups under 21, but think about this. I don't want to knock on this guy a lot, but under his term, Nigeria did not win anything. They regressed dramatically.
Do you know when he was elected?
No, I forgot. But I can tell you it's about 6 years ago. Okay. I think. In that period, 6 years or a little bit more than that. In that period, on the surface, he sounds great. He tried, but he wasn't making the right decisions. He's a good man. He could be a good man with good intentions, but the outcome is what counts.
Right.
Your record and the outcome is what we judge. Your intention could be right. Your decisions drive your intentions. Decisions, you could have good intentions, but your decision will drive that intention to the wrong cul-de-sac or bad place.
Yeah.
So Nigerian soccer regressed on all levels. The women used to be number one in Africa. They used to be winning the tournaments but all those things regressed because Nigeria did not invest in that infrastructure. And also, again, the human capital, the human infrastructure, which is the coaching staff, the coach, the assistant coaches, the scouts, the therapists, nutritionists, the statisticians. These things are part of modern football now, that if you're not doing that, you're at a disadvantage because everybody else is doing it. People record how many passes somebody does in last match and why they didn't get up to that. Maybe they are suffering from a kind of fatigue. There are technology now that can help you detect when a player may have injury because of the level or the variables of performances. You can detect through that someone is no longer consistent. Probably something is going on. We need to check that. So when you see countries like European countries, like Germans, they invest a lot in technology. And the technology is out there for everybody. You don't have to be a German to use that. You don't have to be a Dutch to use that. It's out there. Go out and get those. And for hiring coaches is not a decision one man should make. Like I know this guy. I know Moriho. I call up on Moriho. And Moriho say, pick this guy. I work with him.
Yeah, he's my friend.
He's my friend. Or he was my assistant. And then you go and pick him. Is he a fit for your country? Is he a right fit for what you want to do? No. You should have a vision, a goal, and then pick somebody or the coach that will match that vision and goal. You can say, in the next World Cup, we want to make the Final Four, or we want to win the World Cup. Now, you have a goal. You have a mission. Now, you send out application to coaches all over the world. Come on, we are looking at applications. What can you bring? This is our goal. We want to win the World Cup. Let's see your resume. What do you think? How do you think we can win this World Cup?
So not to defend your guy, Pinnock, but when we think of the African powerhouses, Nigeria, Egypt, Ghana, Cameroon, maybe Algeria, I'm not sure, that might be a more recent thing. When we're talking about infrastructure and corruption, how does Nigeria compare to those other African powerhouses? Like, does Senegal and Morocco have infinitely better facilities, or where do you think Nigeria compares? Basically, I'm asking, like, is this a Nigerian problem, or is this like an African Football Federation problem?
It's a human problem.
Okay.
It's just a human problem. There's corruption everywhere. All of us are not perfect. We are skewed and flawed in many ways. But the point is that the vision is what separates you, that what's helped you get ahead. Look at Morocco. Morocco did not make the Final Four in the World Cup out of thin air. They invested heavily on infrastructure. They built a fantastic edifice and had myriad of training pitches around it. And this took years. This took planning. And with that infrastructure, they were able to attract the right-minded people. Because when you build it, like they say, the rest will follow. So they brought in the people, and systematically they worked for years, and that got them there. Mm-hmm. It's not that they are not corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. There's corruption everywhere. But what pains me is that the people that want to make money, or like corruption, they grab the money and take it before they can use it or apply it. If you do these things, build the right infrastructure, hire the right coaches, hire the right coaching staff, your players will be very excited to come. They will have good morale and they will have more commitment to playing. And when you do that, the doors will open to endorsements, to tours, to playing friendlies. Mm-hmm. And then those monies that come from those things are not within the budget for that year or within a time frame. You can then eat that.
Right. It's very like short-term mentality.
Exactly. Invest in the right things. When now you go and play friendly with Brazil because they see you as attractive to play with, you will fill up stadiums all over the place. Corporations, the private sector will like to put their name across your chest. They will pay you. That money then you can now maybe, I'm not suggesting you take it, but it doesn't make sense. You don't have vision.
Yeah.
The money you have in your hand, you use it to do the right thing. And then you will open up doors for more things to come. It's just a matter of, so that's what I'm saying, that nobody's perfect, but these other people understand that. Senegal, Morocco, they do the right thing. And that's why they are thriving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from my perspective, it definitely looks like teams like Morocco and teams like Senegal, it's much more of like a planned project.
Yes, it's a project.
Whereas
it's a long-term project.
Nigeria, there's like almost a panic if something doesn't go well, and then you guys fire a coach before a tournament, bring in somebody. It's like, what the hell is the plan here? And so I can imagine as a Nigerian fan, that would be extremely frustrating, because you want to believe that there's some level of, I'll say it again, competency with the Nigerian Federation, and there just doesn't seem to be any. And I want to ask you, I was going to talk about dual nationals later on, but do you think that these problems, these internal problems with Nigeria that you're describing, is a reason why so many dual nationals end up not choosing Nigeria?
Yes, definitely. Nobody wants to go where they will be messed up over, Like I hear in England, if you play for the national team, I think 2 or 3 matches or something, you will have pension from that for the rest of your life.
Wow.
You will have so many other benefits. So when you have opportunity to do that, and then Nigeria is calling you, it's a no-brainer. And then when you look over there, it's chaos. It's players being owed. It's playing a bad pitch. There's a chance you have injury. You're going into a place that you're not sure that they will meet the obligation that they promised you, that when you come, we'll do this, we'll do that. The stories, horror stories you've heard from other people that went. It's a no-brainer. I don't blame them. We can do better. Nigeria can do better. All they need to do is have a goal. It's like a big, wide-angled vision where you shoot for, like say, 4 years, 6 year, 8-year project. Exactly. And say in 8 years, we want to win the World Cup. And then you put out a plan and follow it. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other countries have done it. It's just like, it's a no-brainer.
Who is the highest profile dual national that Nigeria has won recently? Is there one? We talk about like I've told you I wish that Eze chose Nigeria.
Yeah.
Balogun for United States. He's a very big name right now. I wish he would choose Nigeria. I think him and Osimhen up top would be devastating.
Well, in the past, he used to be Victor Moses.
Okay.
Because of the compliments he made after choosing Nigeria. He was at the World Cup and did some tremendous things.
Was he eligible for England?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Iwobi.
Oh yeah, Iwobi he grew up in England, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Desas was very promising, but he didn't fulfill. And then Poguna and Aina too. Ola Aina also.
Okay.
It's one of the successful ones. There's been a bunch of them. There could have been more.
Yeah.
Somebody like Olise.
Olise would have been
Could
huge.
have been, yeah.
Yeah. I don't mean this to be inflammatory, but I feel like the truly elite dual nats never pick Nigeria. They always pick England or France. And it's really disappointing because I want to see Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but every African country be as competitive as possible. And I feel like it's so unfair when you measure the resources of these European teams. Like how can a Senegal compete with like France in terms of resources or Nigeria with England? I think you're highlighting something really important, which is like Nigeria can and should, quite frankly, do better.
They could.
But even if they're doing the most, optimized 99% efficiency, I think it's still not a fair fight. Nigerian FA versus English FA.
Oh no. Those people have been doing this for decades, for generations. But that doesn't mean you can have yourself up there. Because the advantage you have is that you don't have to go through all the pitfalls. The resources, the knowledge is out there now. All you have to do is get the right people, apply yourself to your vision and your mission, and then use technology, which is available for everybody.
Right.
And then you get there. Infrastructure, the coaching staff, the right players, and the effort and the determination to get there. You will get there. You'll be part of Nigeria. Like I said, in '94 was the top 5 ranked country in the world, and by merit, not just they shocked everybody by the quality of the generational players they had at that point. And they could have won the World Cup if they had the VAR then. They would have moved further than when they went out.
Oh, was there a instance where
they
got cheated out of the
game? Amoneke playing against the Italians, they were flagrantly fouled. One was kicked in the groin, the other one in the knee.
And they weren't called as foul?
They were just minor infraction then. So now we have VAR, which I'm very happy that finally we got there. I've always suggested that back in the day. So VAR now is a tool that allows people to revisit issues. That's why you see the proliferation of away wins in Europe or all over the world. Because now you play.
Yes. Yeah.
You are very confident that if something happened, there'll be a chance. That's
right. The ref is not going to be swayed
by the noise and the intimidation, and everything is now like much better. So football overall is a better place now than it used to be.
And so 1994, Nigeria lost in the quarterfinals, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They lost to Italy.
Okay. Yeah. And they've been to the quarterfinals 3 times.
Yes.
So Italy once. Do you remember the other 2 teams that you lost to?
It was trying to remember.
It wasn't never Argentina in the quarterfinals, was it? That was always group stage?
It was always a group.
Okay.
Yeah, Argentina was always in the group. Yeah. So that was the best team Nigeria ever produced, and it was also a consequence of somebody who had vision. Westerhoff. Westerhoff came. He was Dutch, and he found Nigeria as like a canvas where he painted his vision. And
was he the manager or the president of the FA?
He was the manager.
Okay.
We just hired him, and then he came with Bonfre Joe, who was a little more technical than him. He was a better manager of men, and Bonfre Joe was a better conductor of tactics and strategy. So they worked hand in hand and produced that. So Westerhoff, being Dutch, the Dutch traditionally use their flanks, wings, very well. So it was easy to him to see. It was easy for him to see the the potential Nigeria has, because Nigeria has always been a country that produced great wingers. Okocha, Odebami, Finidi, up to like Moses. So Nigeria is their strength. And any coach who doesn't understand that is missing out on something. The flanks. Not every country in the world has that ability to produce very fast wingers who can cross balls accurately. So Westerhoff realized that, and that's how he kind of discovered Finidi and exploited the values of like Amoneke, and so that was his strength, and he used it effectively. Yeah,
I'm glad that you point that out. So the stereotype, I'm not sure if you're aware of, is that a lot of these elite African teams going forward, like the attack, elite, very good dribblers, very good technical players, and then you get to the back line, and that's where it's like, okay, the quality seriously falls off. Do you think that's a true stereotype, that the defenses of these African nations is always weaker than the attack?
No. Like in Nigeria as a team, you can remember, or if you look back, you think about Christian Chukwu, Sylvanus Okpala, and several of them. They were the elites and the pace setters in defensive work. So I don't think so. What I see again is the people who kind of bring the team together, who they choose and what they tell them. You could have the finest defender and you don't tell him the right thing. You don't give him the right instruction or incentive or guide. And then he doesn't do the right thing. You play him off his position into something. So I think it's more of the coaching than the ability of the players.
Okay, so you don't think there's a player development issue with defenders or even goalkeepers with Nigeria?
No. Nigeria's, I'd say 80 to 90% of the problem is administrative. Yeah. Infrastructure. At the top.
Yeah.
The players are like world class or potentially world class if you can help them get there. It's never been about the players. It's always been about the system, the politics,
right?
The corruption, the incompetence, the inability to set high standard, the prevalence of being satisfied with mediocrity. You're going to a tournament and what's your goal? To qualify in the group? No. Like they ask Raw, what are you going to do? Say, okay, we'll try to qualify for Nations. No. Qualifying for Nations Cup should no longer be a goal.
That's not a goal for Nigeria. That's a goal for Sierra Leone.
For Mozambique.
Uganda, respectfully.
Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal, Morocco, certain countries, when they are going to the Nations Cup, they are going there. The goal is to win.
Mm-hmm.
And anything less than that is like not great.
Yeah.
Push for it. Even if you don't get there, people will see that at least. But the last years, they've fallen to the point like they are going to Nation Cup and they're talking about qualifying from their group.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's what, speaking of, like, on the day of recording this, you guys lost to Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah.
1-0.
Yeah.
That's Guinea-Bissau's objective. Is make it to Africa.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear like, oh, everybody plays well now. No. Guinea-Bissau don't have Osimhen.
No.
They don't have Chukwueze.
No. Their best players, their striker, Balde.
Exactly. Why are they playing?
Good player.
They're still 11-11. But go to Europe, anytime Germany meets any small country, San Marino and England, you can predict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like England
occasionally there's an upset, but when upset happen every day, it becomes a norm.
Right.
So now it's a norm to confront Nigeria and beat them.
Right.
They're no longer fearsome.
Right. That's actually a really good point. Yeah. The intimidation factor
is gone.
It's gone.
I
would say maybe like it's got to be Senegal and Morocco are probably the most intimidating teams now.
So it's all about who runs things. The players are there. The materials are there. I take it like making food in a pot, like you're cooking something. The ingredients are already there. The water, the vegetable, the oil, the salt, the spices, they're there on your table. Now it's you who is making that food or that soup. Everything is on you. The ingredients are there, the meat, the fish, everything. The finest ones, the premium ones, they are there. So at the end of the day, your food tastes bad. It's not the ingredient. It's the chef, they cook. Because you look at the ingredients, the meat is fine. It's not spoiled. You look at another one, the salt, regular salt. You look at the other one, fine extra virgin olive oil. It's there. Everything is fine, premium. Now, what do you do with that? What is the outcome? When you cook and serve us, it doesn't taste good. Do we blame the ingredients or do we blame the chef?
Right. Are we talking like egusi stew or like
all kinds of food? Just any food at all. Any kind of a chef. Just the chef they bring to cook the meals are not qualified.
They're not qualified to make egusi. I think that's...
they're not qualified to make stew.
Yeah.
And all this jollof rice.
Yeah, jollof rice. Who was the Dortmund player that scored and then said Fufu was his pre-match meal? Kamara? Young or
Adeyemi.
Adeyemi
and I think in Dortmund.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
plays for Germany.
Is Adeyemi his last name or first name?
I think it's his last name. Yeah.
Karim Adeyemi?
Karim
Adeyemi.
He plays for Dortmund.
Okay. I've only had Fufu a handful of times, but I feel like it would not be the best pre-match meal. It's kind of thick.
Well,
heavy in carbs.
It depends. You don't eat it like 2 minutes before you run into the beach. You could eat it like an hour or two, and then it does its magic.
Okay.
Not just right away before you. It's just like every athlete knows how to modulate when they eat and drink before they go in for their event. So it's the same, but it has a lot of carbs and some other properties that maybe propel you to better.
Maybe I need to start eating that before the gym.
You better do.
Yeah, 45 minutes before, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about the historical performance of the Nigerian national team because I think there's a lot to say there. But first, I want to focus on the current squad. All right, so the current, 23, 26 players, however many are on the team. What are your expectations for Nigeria in the next, let's say, 4 to 8 years? Like, do you think they should win an AFCON? Do you think it should be a quarterfinals at the World Cup? What would you say?
They have the potential to get to the finals in the World Cup.
Of a World Cup?
On paper.
Okay.
On paper. Again, the finest ingredients. It depends on now who puts them together.
Yeah.
So currently, all the players are like talented. They are great. They're doing well. There's this, if you notice the trend in world soccer, is a little more physical now. Physical players, physically gifted players, athleticism and speed and rapid acceleration and deceleration and ball control and aerial prowess. These are some of the highlights of a modern footballer, more so than before. So that's why most clubs now are looking for Osimhen type, Haaland type strikers. So the stride of soccer is marching towards where Nigerian players' gifts are. They're naturally strong physically. They have rapid movements. They are good aerially. They have speed. They have athleticism. So most of the Nigerian players have all this. So it's a plus for them. That going forward, it can only benefit them, but they have to have the right manager, the right person, the right conductor, the right tutor, the right organizer to coalesce and bring all these things together to form a solid team. So in terms of players, like you said, on paper, they can do whatever. They can win anything. And they should be aiming for that. It also the mindset of, that's where the manager and all those things I'm talking about, the administrators, because when you tell the player, we're going to Nations Cup, if you make it to out of the group, we're happy.
Yeah, success.
Success. Then they relax. But if you tell them, like I heard about the Moroccan coach, he was always telling them, that you could win the World Cup. He was psyching them up. Psyching them up. They say, shoot for the moon, even if you don't get there. I mean, shoot for the stars. At least you get to the moon. So that should be the mindset that you have the ability to do that. If you look at all the countries of the world, which country do you think would not like to have Osimhen as their 9? Nobody, even Brazil.
Nobody. Oh, Brazil would love.
Everybody would love to
They
have
actually
him
don't have a 9.
Exactly.
You could argue.
So if you have that kind of player, what then are you waiting for you to have the vision to go and win trophies? Why not?
Do you think Nigeria has the players around him to win? Because I know Osimhen is world class. I don't think you can argue that. But do you have a creative midfielder? Like I know Ndidi's a very talented player, and Nigeria's a very young team, so I think there's a lot of promise there. But do you actually think the pieces are there?
When you have Aribo, when you have Ihanacho, and we have Iwobi supporting him, it's not a bad at all.
Especially for an African Cup of Nations, that should be a team in the final.
In Africa, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
They should take it.
Yeah.
With that kind of quality players. And again, the way I always measure is if Iwobi goes to Ghana or Austria, can he make the first 11? Sure. Same thing with Aribo. So they have players that are up there. Because they are Nigerians don't mean that you judge them only by African standards.
Yeah.
They are up there.
Right.
They may not be tier 1 in their positions in the world, but they're up there.
Yeah.
So they should be able to. And one thing I want to mention about Osimhen is like one thing that makes him unique, that he may not need the kind of support Haaland has in Man City. You have Kevin, you have all these other guys around him. Yeah. Osimhen is the kind of striker that he creates his own chances. Mm-hmm. He doesn't wait for you to lay the ball in his feet. He can pull back to the midfield. See a defender who's like not sure-footed, swoop down on him, grab the ball from him, turn around and go and score, or get fouled in the 18 and get the penalty.
Right.
So most strikers don't do that. Most strikers rely on, like you say,
they need
support. Somebody push the ball, give them one very wicked evil pass, and then they shoot. But this guy can do that as well as create his own chances. So that puts him like in a very unique place among strikers.
I was looking at the Nigerian national team records. So I thought it was very interesting that Ahmed Musa is the most capped player in Nigerian history with 107 games played. And I think that's pretty interesting for 2 reasons. One, because I never thought Ahmed Musa was really like a world beater. He was never world class. He was a good player. And 2, to see a winger as the most capped player for a national team, I feel like is extremely rare. It's usually a center back, a goalkeeper, somebody who can play into their, late 30s potentially. Where would you rank Ahmed Musa all time in your Nigerian players?
Well, like you said, again, it comes to what I always keep saying, the potential and not being able to extract it and push it to the limit. He's a very gifted player. His speed,
very fast.
He's so fast that sometimes you're just dizzy looking at him. So he's I'd say 0 being the worst, 10 being the greatest Nigerian player. He's somewhere between 7 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah, but because he started early. I remember when he was banging in goals in the Nigerian league as a 17-year-old. He was very, very feared by defenders. He was so fast. So that kind of fast-tracked him into the national team. He didn't even play a lot for under 20 and all those things. He just fast-tracked him. So going into the national team at 17 or 18, and then you stay healthy, and then you keep getting called up all the time, you're bound to be up there in terms of the number of times you play for your country. So that's what happened with him. And not to take anything away from him, because we saw what he did at the World Cup against the Argentines and the other countries. So he's a very gifted player. Again, you have to have the right person to manage him and make the best out of him. So he has great potential, but he never realized it, like so many Nigerian players.
Is Musa top 15 all time?
If you're judging in terms of accomplishment, in terms of record, yes. But if you're judging in terms of quality, which is, which there's no way to have parameters to judge.
Yeah,
but
it's
you know
very
what I mean?
subjective.
Yeah, it is subjective. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wouldn't put him in the top 15.
Okay.
But in terms of, if you look at his paper record, Nations Cup here, this, that. Okay, yes. Because that's what people judge. They say, how many Nations Cup did you go to? How many World Cup? He played in 2 World Cups. So he's there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of quality, no.
Right. So if you're putting together best Nigerian 11 of all time, Ahmed Musa's not.
No.
Okay.
But he's good enough to have.
He might be on the bench for that team.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I make like 11, fantasy, first 11 for a Nigerian team of all times, going back way back then, no, he wouldn't be in the first 11. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm.
I was looking at the top goal scorer for Nigeria. Do you know who it is?
Rashidi?
Yes. Do you know how many goals he has for Nigeria?
34?
Very close. 37.
37, okay.
37. So I was looking. The next best is a guy, Segun Odegbami.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 22. JJ Okocha, you know how many he has?
20?
14.
14, okay.
14. Which I thought was very interesting because I think a lot of people regard him as not just one of the best Nigerian players, but one of the best African players of all time. So I was kind of confused to see how low his purely goal scoring output. I'll give it. I didn't look at assists or anything like that, but just from a goal scoring output, that's not a lot of goals for an attacking midfielder, one of Nigeria's best players ever. And for the top goal scorer in Nigerian history to only have 37 goals, it also sounds pretty low. I know I'm putting you on the spot with this question, but any idea why there's never been a Nigerian to hit, 45, 50, 60 goals for the national team?
Well, it depends on how many matches were they playing. How many matches? They weren't playing a lot. It's just African Nations Cup. And then when you look at other people surrounding him, it's kind of spread thin. It may not, Rashidi may be the most, but other people also have some goals. And then when you talk about Okocha and 14 goals, one of the things that happened in modern soccer is that there is a kind of a shift that moved from what is used to be judged as greatness to where certain parameters like goal scoring and winning tournaments are now the yardstick to judge who is greater than the other. It's across all sports. If you look at like basketball in the United States, would you say that Allen Iverson is not a great player because he didn't win championships?
No, of course not.
Of course not. So would you say Okocha is not great where he should be because he didn't score? Goal scoring has a place or have players that are paid to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not paid to score goals. He's a midfielder. If he scores goals, fine. But what you look at is like also judging like Kevin De Bruyne and say he doesn't score enough goals like Salah. But what he does is different from what Salah does. What Okocha did was different from what Rashidi did. So you don't expect him to be up there 30 goals or 32 or 28. It's okay. Because in terms of quality, everybody who understands the skill that guy has knows that he's one of the most gifted players that have ever played. Not just African or Nigerian. Today, FIFA is still celebrating him. Today, players all over the world that played in the past still pay tribute to him because of what he does with the ball. Like if you love soccer, watch a game. It's not about how many goals were scored that makes the game interesting. It's about the beauty, the art, the science, the skill. We all enjoy that beautiful game because of not just the result or the outcome, but because of what people bring in with their natural talents. That guy, I don't know if there's anybody that's gifted more than he is when he played.
Right.
Yeah, he did things that were unbelievable.
He's one of the players that I wish I could have watched growing up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so many people tell you that he was their inspiration. Ozil, Just so many players, growing up, watched him, and then became so. What the world has done is like now, people judge clubs and players by how much trophy, or it's a wrong thing to do.
I'm a Tottenham.
Too much
I'm a
pressure.
Tottenham fan, so I know how that goes.
Yeah, so it's unfair.
Yeah.
Because you may be George Weah with all your talent, and you never won anything.
Didn't do anything.
You didn't go to World Cup.
Liberia.
Does that mean George Weah is no longer one of the greatest players ever? Not even African. He won the World Footballer of the Year, but he never went to World Cup. So if you insist on goals and trophies, then you miss a lot. You kind of erase a lot of people from getting the recognition they deserve. It's not about trophy. We love the game. Sometimes you watch a match, it's goalless, and it's still one of the best matches you've ever watched because of the intrigue, the play, the skill, the tension, all the drama that goes in it. So it shouldn't be about only goals and trophies. Those ones count, but a lot of times we put too much pressure on players to score when they do other things as good as the person scoring that help the team. Yeah, like defenders, like goalkeeper.
Yeah,
they are not scoring, but
yeah, exactly. Not everybody can be like
not everybody can be like Haaland and all these guys. Yeah.
And Okocha, he won one AFCON, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
in quarterfinals at the World Cup.
The pain of watching his career is that he never won Africa Footballer of the Year.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't.
Never won it? How many years did he play?
Plays for several years. But
who was winning it over him?
Yeah, other people. I
want to look that up and see who was.
Yeah, check it. He was so celebrated in the World Cup that the People's Republic of China declared him the Footballer of the Year from that World Cup.
Wow.
Right. And
that's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah. He won the Nations Cup, but he never won Africa's Footballer of the Year. Eto'o, who won it 4 times, bow to him. Everybody, they know, politics.
Probably because of the goals too. Like you said, people like stats. They like numbers.
Yeah, people are fickle. That's being fickle. Yeah. That's being mentally lazy. Right. You don't want to see what other people. It's like in basketball again. Like there are people who make the points, but there is a center. There is a guard who don't score as much as the forward.
Right.
So you should recognize that they contribute equally, or even more than the arrowhead. It's like an arrow. The 9 is the head, but the body propels the head, and somebody from the back shoots it off. So you don't give credit only to
It's my biggest problem with soccer award shows is that nobody gives defenders any credit at all.
Exactly.
And I started as a defender, so I love a good defender, but it's actually become impossible for a defender to win the Ballon d'Or. It's impossible. I mean, you have to win every single trophy at club level, international level, keep a clean sheet in every single game, and then you still might not win it. It's crazy. So I agree. I think too much of all sports, I think it's the downside of the data analytics era that we're in, where defenders, they just don't show up on the stat sheet, so they must suck, right? According to modern footballing standards.
Exactly.
That is disappointing. I'm shocked that Okocha never won African Footballer of the Year. That is
he won the BBC,
a travesty.
The BBC Africa Footballer of the Year. The BBC engineered honor.
And the People's Republic of China.
And the China, yeah. But now,
do you get a trophy for that?
Now, well, you didn't get a trophy. You got a mention,
Get a little ribbon or something,
But now that things are beginning to realign, that a lot of people are seeing that he was not given the due regard and celebrated like he should have. That's why everything FIFA does now, they have this FIFA elites or former players. He's always involved in it because they realize what it brought to the game.
Right.
He elevated it. He expanded the scope of entertainment and made it very appealing. And not just that you win trophies, like I said, like Michael Jordan, he won trophies and changed basketball.
Yeah.
So people love him not just because of the 6 After all, Bill Russell and other people won more rings than he did. But being that he transformed the sport and exposed the art, like Messi also, these are transformational figures. Okocha was like that for
his
football.
Influence like on the game.
Yes, yeah.
What has he done since retiring as a player? Has he tried to go into management or?
He's been doing a bunch of things from what I hear, and then the country of Qatar gave him an honorary citizen and made him ambassador, and then he's an ambassador to FIFA, and he goes around there with Arsene Wenger, and they're doing stuff. So he's doing things on a global scale.
No direct involvement with Nigeria though.
I think he's an analyst on one of the
one of the networks,
football shows.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so we've been talking about AFCON a little bit, and I want to read the stats for you and anybody else watching. So Nigeria, in the history of the team, have won 3 AFCONs: 1980, 1994 with Okocha, like you said, and most recently 2013. And I want to ask you your opinion. Should Nigeria have more?
Of course. They threw away so many opportunities they had to. Even the last one, they had a great team. But again,
we watched that game together.
Yeah, exactly. They had a great team. Look what they did in the first game, how they played the Egyptians. That shows you what they can do if many things come together at the right time. So they lost so many opportunities to increase that number. And then the one of 13, when Keshi was there, they didn't even have players that were feared. Just random players here and there, and he put them together, and they won it. And now when they have great players, greater than the potentials the one 2013 had, they're supposed to do better. So they've always have those basic ingredients, those basic players that are always talented. It's just a matter of putting them together.
Why do you think there's so many examples of a tournament, I would say, underachievement from Nigeria? Is it like a hubris thing? Or is it overconfidence? Or what would you attribute that to? Poor coaching?
Poor preparation, not doing the right things, owing the players, even if they're millionaires, still. It affects the psyche, the human spirit, that you're owing them and you're expecting them to play because you assume he doesn't need the money. That's not right. Even if he's the richest man in the world, pay him his one back.
Yeah.
Give it to him. Give him what you say you promised you're going to do for him. Don't hold back. So all those things. You remember when there was a Balogun kind of like brought it up and he was pissed. It wasn't like he needed the money. But the mindset was what he was fighting against.
Right. It's the principle.
The principle. You're comfortable not keeping your word. Yeah. Not doing the right thing.
Right.
It's a problem.
It seems like it's become normalized.
Yes, exactly.
From what you say.
Yeah. And then next time there's a tournament, you call him. And you're not even trying to make up or cover or meet up with the ones you're still owing him. And you're just expecting him to just show up and play and win the tournament.
Yeah.
So all those things, little thing here and there, it's a combination of different things. So that's a big one there.
Yeah. I mean, how can you expect to attract a world-class tier 1, tier 2 manager if he's reads the newspaper and sees that you never paid the manager?
You never paid the manager. Now you're still owing the players.
You're not going to do it for free?
Yeah. Like I said, even if they can afford it, which many of them can, but that mindset seeps into other things, not just owing them. It goes into you're not providing the right equipment for training. And then they're used to working with personal trainers, each of them or something. They're used to having a psychotherapist or a scout, and they don't see those things. So that's very demoralizing. It just doesn't bring the best out of, somebody. Yeah.
I imagine that. Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest, when I was looking at what Nigeria's done at the AFCON, especially recently, it's kind of embarrassing, if I can say that.
It is.
Like AFCON 2015, not qualifying. AFCON 2017, not qualifying. I mean, that's unacceptable for a continental powerhouse like Nigeria. It'd be like Italy or England not qualifying for the Euro. It's like almost unthinkable. But
and it's not from lack of talent.
Yeah.
It's never from lack of talent.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always the recurring issues of poor management
2019 was a good team.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good Nigerian team.
Mm-hmm.
Lost on the Mahrez free kick with
Right.
2 minutes left. I mean, nothing you can do about that. And then we watched the 2021 AFCON. You know, 9 points from the group stage. Everybody
was tipping them for.
Oh my gosh! Everyone's like they're gonna
and then the fizzled.
steamroll, and then they allow one shot on goal from Tunisia, and the goalkeeper, I forgot the guy's name.
Yeah.
Horrible goalkeeping. Basically goes through his hands.
Maduka Okoye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked if hubris was a problem because I remember we were talking about it. He did some interviews after the group stage, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I'm kind of bored. I wish I was facing more shots. It's been a little too easy." And then the Tunisian game, the round 16, he lets in the one shot. It's like, wow.
And then again, also inviting the players back, they they bring them a day or two and throw them in the field. They don't consider that these guys live in cold climate. They need to come back earlier, acclimatize. So when they come and play teams in Africa, they are disadvantaged. They are like Europeans coming to play Africans because the teams here already, most of our players are here. So they're used to the climate, they're used to the rough pitches. So you are flying guys from Europe to come and play people in their environment. That's why they don't, like what happened today. They just came in, the pitch was so bad. You can't measure how the ball will bounce from, compared to what you're used to over there. You don't have enough time to play on that turf and adjust your mind to the environment and all the variables. So that's what you get. But meantime, these guys, most of them are used to that kind of climate and that kind of pitch. So again, it's a bunch of different things, not just one thing, but when you look at it holistically, you can begin to stratify the reasons that this is this. Number one is management, coaching staff, not welfare of the players, and then the pitch, and then some other things, acculturization, acclimatization, and things like that. So it's a bunch of things. And it happens repeatedly. Yeah. Yeah. Keeps repeating itself.
Right. There's no learning from
there's no learning
previous
from
mistakes.
Exactly. The same thing. Tomorrow, the same thing.
Next World Cup, the same thing. I want to ask you about like some rivalries now. So like the biggest rival for Nigeria is Ghana, right? Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, geographically, because of they are both in West Africa, so regional, yes.
Okay.
But there's also other rivalries.
Like what are the other rivals of Nigeria?
Egypt, South Africa. They are always
South Africa.
Yeah.
Why in South Africa?
Because of the economic powerhouses in Africa.
Okay.
The two biggest economies, South Africa and Nigeria. So they always based off of that, they're always kind of aware of each other's presence in different spheres of expression, like sports, technology, tourism, travel. So that tension spills into sports naturally. So South Africa always look at Nigeria like if they can beat them, they rejoice better than if they beat like Tanzania or some other people. So same thing with Nigeria. They've always had that rivalry. So there's other ones too.
Is Egypt a rival because Egypt has the most AFCONs and they're the most successful team?
Yes. And Nigeria is supposed to be up there with Egypt. So Egypt has been always organized, so being closer to Europe, they tend to manage their football profile and history better from what they learn from over there. So they've had better successes again because they're better organized.
So you as a fan, is there a particular game that you look forward to the most? Is it the Ghana game? Is it the Egypt game?
It's a kind of flurry of games, not just one. Like I said, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco.
So you like the big games?
The big games, yeah. Those are very, very where the bragging rights are at stake, yeah. And then where you expect to have a higher quality football because of the quality of the players from both countries, yeah. More so than when they're playing countries that don't have high quality players, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the issues I had with AFCON during the group stages. It's just kind of tough to see like a Ethiopia versus, I can't remember who they played in the group stage. It might have been Algeria or something, but it was just, when the difference in quality is that big, it's just kind of a tough watch.
It is. It's hard to watch, yeah. But overall, Africa has kind of moved further from where they have been. Every country has better. Actually, the last Nations Cup, I'd say, was the highest in terms of overall quality of all the countries ever.
When's the next one? 2023?
Right.
So it's got to be this summer?
I think it's January. They call it 2023
January. Okay.
because of what COVID did. Everything kind of lapsed.
Okay, so it'll be winter 2024?
I think so, yes. Like January. That's from my understanding, yeah.
So the AFCON qualifiers are going to end pretty soon. I mean, they have to end like next international break then.
No. There'll be 2 games for each country this break, but it's like a league platform.
6 games total.
Right. So I think they're still in the first.
Winner of every group goes through.
Right.
Is there a second stage or no?
The 2 top.
Okay, 2 top. Oh, 2 top. Okay. So losing to Guinea-Bissau wasn't absolutely devastating.
No, they still have a chance to remedy if they can beat them. So if Guinea-Bissau if they have a good or fairly good pitch, it will be to the advantage of Nigerians because they play better in good pitches than they have in Nigeria.
So what interests me a lot about the Asian Football Confederation in particular is the fact that you have a bunch of different ethnic groups and cultures competing underneath the Asian Football Confederation. Like with CONMEBOL, South America, it's exciting because the quality of football is very high and there's a lot of like history with those countries.
Right.
And there's only 10 of them, so they play each other quite often, but there's not that added like geopolitical element to the competition. So in Africa's case, do you think there's any type of rivalry between the African countries and kind of the Arabian countries of North Africa? Do you think anything exists there?
I think the rivalry exists on the history of colonialism, the French, the Francophone, and the Anglophone.
Okay.
More so than the ethnic.
Interesting.
Yes. So because it's always part of what people complain about who gets the Africa's Footballer of the Year every year. Some people believe there's a tendency that it goes more to Francophone players.
Interesting.
Than Anglophone. Like you look at Eto'o, you look at Yaya Toure, and all those people. And then Mikel Obi never got it. And then Okocha, like we said.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yes.
That's
so
crazy.
People believe that there is politics because Issa Hayatou was the president of CAF for almost 29 years. So from there, it filters down.
It's a long time.
Yeah, Francophone. So he himself even made a comment that he regretted that during his tenure, Okocha did not win that. But some people believe he was part of why Okocha did not win that.
Yeah.
So there is this pull back and forth on the historical colonial history of the African continent, more so than the ethnic. So it's more like Francophone and Anglophone. Ghana, Nigeria, these are the Anglophones. Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and all the North Africans. So they kind of radiate that brotherhood on that level. So that's where the tension is. So there is even more tension between Cameroon playing Ivory Coast. There's also that Francophone rivalry. And then there's a cross rivalry between the Anglophone and the...
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Cameroon was playing Ghana, it would be like, okay, this is the Francophone versus the Anglophone.
Exactly, yeah. And then when they're choosing officials to officiate those matches, they have that in mind. Because people believe that if Cameroon is playing Nigeria and you bring a French-speaking referee, the tendency will be that he will skew more towards being helpful to Cameroon than, And there's been instances where that's been proven. So it's not just blind speculation.
So what's the solution? Do they bring in a foreign
The
ref?
solution is now technology. VR
Okay.
helps. It kind of, neutralize a lot of those things. Yeah, VR is it's a good place to be. It's a good thing in soccer now. So that helps. And then again, African journalists who are instrumental to depace the direction and the landmarks of soccer in Africa, they are very instrumental. They vote in certain things like Africa's Word of the Year and things. There are more francophone journalists. Again, people believe the tendency is that they vote for the francophone player, Salah, Mane, Toure, all those other guys. Not that they are not great, they deserve it, but they don't recognize equally the input of especially people from Anglophone. So there's always that dynamic everywhere in the world. It's not like typical in Africa. Everywhere people have cliques and clans and groups and politics in families. Everywhere is the same. So it's there too.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I know going back to Asia, it'll usually be like the Arabic countries typically vote a certain way, and then the East Asian countries vote a different way, and it's that kind of causes issues sometimes when voting for like where the next Asian Cup is gonna be, or like presidential races, Asian Cup council seats and stuff like that. That's very interesting. I wouldn't have thought it'd be separated by language. I would have thought it would be separated by ethnic group. Like I would have thought if the final is Algeria, let's just say Congo. I don't know if Congo's ever made it to an AFCON final. They probably have, but I would have thought that most Nigerians would root for the Congolese versus the Algerians in that case.
Language is a very
I guess they'd be Belgian speaking, but
it's a very strong component in the dynamics.
That's super interesting.
How they relate to each other, because it affects officiating. It reflects in officiating, and many times they are careful not to to select people that appear neutral. Probably if Senegal and Nigeria are playing in final, they want to make sure maybe Ethiopian or somebody from abroad. So that French speaking and English speaking thing, is a very strong component.
That is so interesting
of the dynamics in African soccer.
That's fascinating.
And journalism and awards and all those things.
Okay. I really want to look into that more because, like I said, I wouldn't have thought that intuitively, but now that you're explaining it, I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Because the journalists, like I said, the African sports writers, the majority of them are francophone speaking, and they hold sway about who emerges, like honors and things, and it's very emphatic.
Yeah.
The way it affects the outcome in everything, sports, especially football, right? I
know that tribalism is like a big thing in African football, and like especially with Nigeria. And I think I remember reading at the last AFCON there was problems within Cameroon. Actually, exactly to what you're speaking of, the French-speaking population and the English-speaking population in like different parts of the country, there's like a secessionist movement.
Right.
I might be recalling it incorrectly.
Still going on now.
But like they were considering even moving AFCON from Cameroon because of the conflict.
Yes.
Is there anything like that within Nigeria? Because I know there's the like the Igbo kind of independence movement. I forgot what the region's called. It begins with a B.
The IPOB.
Yeah. It just.
Biafra.
The Biafra.
Biafra.
Is that like a problem that's affected the Nigerian squad at any point in time?
Yeah, it does. It does have its place. Like I said, the human nature always seek to marginalize and favor people that you identify with, either through a clan identity or social structure, all kinds of parameters that you use to access. So it plays a role. Nigeria also, that's why most times, sometimes they have great successes over the years at being under so-called foreign coaches who like came from abroad, who don't have those traps, those trappings of the dynamism ethnicity brings, who are kind of untethered to that concept. They choose players that they think can produce without having to lean to I want to choose an Hausa. But also Nigeria suffers from one hand behind the curtain. Like sometimes they want to invite players to national team. Some top public officials will require that you give a national character to the amount of players and the profile of players you invite to represent the geographical expression of Nigeria, regardless of excellence or quality.
So it's not a meritocracy.
Exactly. Some people try to nudge the coaches towards that.
It's like
sometimes they
ethnic
succeed.
Quota almost.
Right. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. Yeah. So it's a push and pull. They try to do it, it happens, and it's not only in Nigeria, it's like human nature. It's everywhere. Yeah.
In Mexico, a lot of Mexican fans want a Mexican coach. Would you say Nigeria, the majority of fans want a Nigerian, or do they want a foreigner?
Well, I see that as something that we should just go for excellence.
Okay.
Yeah. Foreign is relative.
So that's how you feel.
That's
When you're on Twitter or Instagram, do you
Right.
see like a majority of the fan base overall leaning in one particular direction?
They are broken into parts.
Okay.
Some people want to give Nigerian coaches, but you ask yourself, how good is a Nigerian coach? And then for people clamoring for foreign coach, you don't just bring anybody because he's a foreigner. You have to establish the parameters, establish a goal, and then bring people who fit into it, who are qualified. If a Nigerian coach is qualified, so be it. If somebody from Spain or Venezuela or anywhere is qualified, so be it. When you go in other sectors, you want to build like a nuclear facility, nuclear generator in your country, and you don't have the people that are qualified. Are you going to say, no, we must have Nigerian engineers to build that?
We got to teach some people.
Well, you will go to where they have the best people who build that. They build it in Brazil. They build it in India. Same thing. England hired the Italian coach. Is there anything wrong with that? You remember when they hired the Italian coach?
Yeah.
Anybody can hire anybody. It's about establish your mission and your goal, and then bring the person that is qualified. Like you set parameters. I want to win World Cup. I want somebody to develop our players. Now everybody apply. Now start looking at application. I don't look at Nigeria. Yeah, just anybody. Then when you interview them, what do you think we can get to the World Cup and win the World Cup? What do you say? And then they talk to you. If they are not a fit for your vision, it doesn't matter where they are from. They could be from England. No. They could be from Calabar in Nigeria. No. So it's a moot point, either going for local or foreign. It doesn't matter. First of all, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You don't call Uber before you decide where you want to go. You have to say, okay, I want to get to the heights over there. And then you call Uber, and then same thing. You don't hire somebody first and say, okay, where can you take us? That's the wrong way to do it. You have to decide as a country, the administration, football authorities will decide, we want to win the World Cup, or we want to be in the Final Four in the World Cup. Now that elevates your level. Not everybody can meet that. So when you put that line up there, you only have few people that can jump over it. If a Nigerian is part of the group that can, fine, come in. So it's not about level, local or foreign. No. Just what do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm. Do you have a plan?
What's your plan?
Yeah.
And then you can start building. It's like an architect.
Yeah.
You can't bring engineers and say, build something. Where is the plan?
Yeah.
Engineers and construction people will bring all the equipment.
Right.
What are we building?
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. So I build a house. Well, how many stories?
How many stories?
How many bedrooms?
How many bedrooms?
Yeah.
Where do we build it? Sure.
Yeah.
You have to have.
Is there a pool in the back?
Exactly. The architect has to draw the plan, sketch everything out, measure everything to a T, and then bring the engineers and the construction companies and the interior designers and the electricians and the plumbers. They all revolve around that. So that's what it is. So it doesn't make sense to say, oh, we want a foreign coach only, or oh, look at the foreign coaches they had. Raw was a foreign coach, but look at his record.
Hey, at least he got you guys third place at AFCON.
That's not Nigeria has passed that. Well, Nigeria has passed that. It's not a thing to celebrate.
To play devil's advocate, it was the best finish since 2013.
Who was in charge? He, mostly. So it's the best for him, not for the country.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
That's true.
Before him, the country had achieved more than that.
Pinnock is public enemy number one.
Well, he's a good man, I'm sure. He's a good man, but he didn't make the best decisions for the country for whatever reason. I don't know if it's corruption or whatever. I don't know, but I judge from the outcome. He could be a good man. I'm sure he is, but he's not the best administrator. For what he did. Yeah.
Do you think that this current manager Pissarro can actually win an AFCON?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
I doubt it.
I feel like you guys, it's got round of 16 written all over it.
I doubt it. He may be a good coach for a certain level, but not with this quality of players and expectation.
The job seems too big.
It's too big. It's not just what you just randomly bring any guy, What is his record? Who did he coach?
10 games with Venezuela. I was looking at, I think it was Sporting Lisbon. He lasted 20 games. I don't think this guy's had a job for more than 2 years.
Yeah. They just ran to Mourinho, and Mourinho pointed, oh, pick that guy, and they ran and picked him. You don't pick coaches like that.
That's crazy. Like,
pick that guy.
Of the big 5 African teams, you guys easily have the worst manager. It's not even close.
Always.
Yeah, and always have the worst manager.
Always.
I don't understand it. It's like, as an outsider looking in, I'm like, if Nigeria could just get somebody quality in that position, it could be another golden age, you could call it.
Exactly. That's what it is. These guys, the potential they have is equivalent to the golden generation. I tell you. It just needs that spark.
Yeah.
That spark of the right guy.
Jurgen Klopp.
That
would be crazy.
Yeah, it depends. Klopp and all these successful coaches, they are operating on like large budget, world class players. So they may not be fit for Nigeria.
You know who I think would have been a really good manager for you guys is Hervé Renard, the Saudi Arabia coach. He won it with Zambia, won the AFCON with Ivory Coast. I feel like that is a not tier 1. But definitely tier 2 manager who's got 2 AFCONs with 2 different countries,
tier 2.
And Zambia's not that good. All due respect, like that's an impressive victory. I feel like he could have done something really good.
The guy, as at the time he was with Zambia, he didn't have that pedigree or experience, but now he has it. Yeah. And another thing also is that most of those players work in Europe. They play in Europe. So they have absorbed the styles and technicalities that are abound in Europe.
At Zambia or at Ivory Coast?
Like Nigerian players.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So they may not completely be beneficial for them to pick a coach who is rooted in African soccer per se. Because remember, there are tournaments. It's not just African Cup of Nations. And when you go to World Cup or international friendly, you're no longer an African team. When you're playing Spain in Madrid, international friendly, you're looking at the level and the expectation that is different from what you did in Africa. So the coaches that I'm thinking about may be a hybrid, not somebody who has someone who understands the African mentality, but who has access and the tools of modern football, understanding all the intricacies and all the infrastructure and the framework to succeed, which includes technology, and because it's very important. I don't know how sophisticated the guy is technologically. He may have sophisticated it with Zambia, but is he up there in the world, at the forefront of knowledge of what's out there? It's important. So when you get that kind of coach, now you create the environment for him in terms of don't owe him money.
That's a big one.
Don't owe him salary. Whatever, just pay the man.
Pay the man.
Pay the man.
Very simple.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Oh, God. Do you remember when Zambia won AFCON? Like, was that must have been a massive upset in the continent, right? I mean, that'd be like Honduras winning the Copa America or something. It would be like crazy. Do you remember, like, damn, who is this Hervé Renard guy who just won with Zambia?
Yeah, they had Kalusha and some other generational players. And what happened with Zambia is that Zambia's national team took off after they had this relationship with Leicester back in the day. The team Leicester came to Zambia, and played a friendly. I think it was in the 70s. And that magnetized the spirit of the Zambians and elevated their thinking and mindset to be like this Leicester club from UK. So after that, they had a relationship where some Zambian coaches will go to Leicester and learn, and then the Leicester saw Zambia as like an experiment, our young country, a brother whom we're trying to, help move up. That's why you have the Zambian player playing for Leicester. So they have that relationship. So that was what helped Zambia, having contact with Leicester FC, and that kind of transformed them into believing that they can do that, and inspired a lot of young players to be like that. So it was a catalyst for them.
That's gotta be one of the biggest upsets in AFCON history.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like the end of Drogba's career. They lost in the final was that to Zambia, or was that to another smaller team? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
no, it wasn't Angola or something. Was it Angola? Has Angola won an AFCON?
No, Angola represented Africa at the World Cup.
They did.
Over Nigeria, yeah, because of the technical issues and the way they ranked who goes.
Okay, I'm going to look this up after we're done, because somebody beat Ivory Coast in a final on penalties, and I can't remember who it was. Who do you think is the most overrated African team right now?
I'd say Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay. Can you elaborate?
Well, they have this heritage of producing great players like Drogba, Toure, and it made people feel that anybody or any player from Cote d'Ivoire automatically is on that level. So when they hear about Hala, Zaha, and things, everybody assumes that they should do this. They should do great things like those guys. So it doesn't always follow like that. You don't have Drogba and Toure every day. So the expectation is higher than the outcome with them. That's why they are kind of not performing where they should be.
Can I say that I actually completely agree with you? I thought that at the last AFCON, they were very poor.
Right.
And given the players that they have, at least as individuals, has to be a semifinal.
Exactly.
But they kind of are boring to watch.
Many good players, but not exceptional like they used to.
Yeah.
So the automatic assumption is that if you're good in Cote d'Ivoire, you must be exceptional.
Yeah.
It's like being a Brazilian. Like,
That's a really good
it's like being a Brazilian. If you're a good Brazilian player, some people will mistake you to be exceptional because you're Brazilian. Everybody from Brazil is exceptional. Yeah. So it doesn't always... It makes you being overrated sometimes.
Yeah. And maybe that added pressure might cause you to, like, underperform in the public's eyes when really you were just never that good to begin with. Okay. Yes. Interesting. So on the flip side, let me ask you the opposite. Is there one team in Africa, maybe a smaller nation that's not quite as well known, that you predict at the next AFCON in winter 2023, 2024 will do well? Is there a team, a sleeper team perhaps?
Gambia is interesting.
Okay. They did all right at the last AFCON too. Yeah.
They have potential to really get to the next level. Gambia, and then I think Congo too, and Mali.
Mali have some good players in the midfield.
Right.
They're very exciting to watch.
Mali. So these are teams that, given the right conditions and bringing in the right other things that can go in push them to the next level.
Do you know who's hosting the next AFCON?
I think it's is it Cameroon? No, Cameroon.
Yeah, Cameroon
had the
just
last
happened.
one, yeah.
I wonder if it's going to the North Africa.
Morocco or something. Yeah, check.
No,
It's Ivory Coast, I remember.
Okay, okay.
It's Ivory Coast.
Who do you think is going to win the next AFCON?
I'll be looking at Morocco and Algeria.
Algeria. Okay, you think an Arab team wins it?
Not because they're Arab, but because of what they've done, the investments they've made in soccer.
Right.
It's beginning to pay off, and they wouldn't stop suddenly. It would pay off for a while.
The strengths of their teams are very good.
It will pay off for a while. They've made good investments. You could see the World Cup. You could see the quality Algeria has. Even though they didn't go to the World Cup, but they've invested well. They are reaping the benefits now. It won't just stop suddenly. So I give it to them because they're in a sole position and they have very good players.
Yeah.
So
I would say Morocco is a very good shout. I was surprised to find out they've only won AFCON once in the 80s, I want to say. 81, maybe. So you're kind of predicting somewhat courageously, I would say, that Algeria are going to bounce back after a horrible showing at the last AFCON and not qualifying against Cameroon.
Remember their record before that? It was
30-something games or 20-something games.
It wasn't a fluke. Something may have happened. If they readjust, they will go back to where they were before easily. So we can't judge by, you look at the wide angle view, see a wide picture, not just narrow down on they didn't make Nations Cup. What happened before Nations Cup? They were very consistent.
Yeah.
So this will be a lesson for them, and it will be easy for them to transition back to the level they were before. So they were almost invincible before the Nations Cup.
I remember I watched the Mexico versus Algeria friendly, and Algeria looked very good.
Yeah.
I think it ended 2-2, but Mexico were a little fortunate to not lose the game.
Yeah, and then Morocco, remember how they beat Belgium friendlies before the World Cup? Morocco is a very compelling.
They're very defensively. They're so sound.
Yeah, they're very good team.
It was.
And this World Cup, why I also say that is that the confidence that comes from playing in the World Cup and getting to the fourth, you can't buy it anywhere. They are very confident.
That's a great transition to the next question I had for you. Which African team is going to be the first one to win the World Cup?
Nigeria.
Really? Mm-hmm. You guys think you can do it?
Nigeria, in terms of, I'm not looking through a crystal ball. I also apply the filter of potential. They have the best potential to do that.
Okay.
The best potential. Morocco will be a target in the next World Cup. So they've lost that element of surprise. People will be waiting for them.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think people are going to be taking that game for granted.
Exactly. From game one, they'll be all over them.
The
next World Cup. But they'll still do well.
Okay.
But Nigeria is a sleeper giant that haven't realized their potential.
Yeah. But isn't that crazy? We're saying Nigeria are a sleeping giant. I feel like...
Yeah.
It's really a testament to where the program is right now. Nigeria should never be a sleeping giant. They should always be killing everybody in Africa and in other tournaments.
Everywhere. If you look at what they did in 94, 96 Olympics, Olympics and what their players do, individually.
Yeah. Okay, this is going to be a tough one for you. What is your favorite Nigerian jersey of all time? Could be home or away.
I like the one they wore in the last World Cup. The one with the designs, not the plain dark green one.
So it was the white one?
The white one, yeah. Yeah, that one.
This one is so clean.
Yeah, that one.
I tried to buy that.
Right, it was
sold out everywhere. Do you have one?
No.
Do you have any Nigeria kits?
I'm not really your run-of-the-mill kind of fan who identifies with teams and things. I'm more like...
You like players?
Football connoisseur. Players.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of players more so than wearing team jerseys and things. Yeah, I can support teams, but not Maybe I'm not the right fan.
No, that's fair. Do you
Yeah.
think that, or do you like that Nigeria always has these very intricate, almost designer jerseys, or do you wish that they were more low key?
No, this is part of the heritage. So
Okay.
it's a statement. It's
Okay.
great. I love what they're doing. Even the recent one, there's one they had planned to wear in Qatar that never was. That was beautiful, but they couldn't. They didn't go.
They didn't qualify.
That would have really put an exclamation mark in fashion in Qatar. It was
Okay.
very, very powerful. I liked it.
I like that they go all out
Yeah,
on their
yeah,
jerseys.
yeah.
They don't play it conservative.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing, I think.
Very,
and
very.
as
very,
we
very.
see like
Yeah.
more and more international teams become safer and safer with how they, like plain white or maybe like a little blue on the sleeve. Even in relation to other African teams, I think Nigeria has always been like
Exactly.
the trailblazer in terms of like kit design.
Kit design. And then again, like I was saying, if they do the right things, that's another way to make money. That money they are scrambling out, sharing before they invest.
Oh yeah.
So if you play well, do the right things, your jersey will sell. You make a lot of money like that too, as well as endorsements, as well as friendly games all over the world. And so just doing the right thing.
I mean, just think of the potential for money. Like Nigeria already have some of the best-selling kits around the world,
Exactly.
and they're kind of in a down period.
Right.
Imagine if they were on top of their game.
Imagine if they're playing well, what will happen?
Oh yeah, you might have, I don't know, JP Morgan on the phone.
Yeah,
like, hey,
exactly.
we'd like to sponsor you.
Exactly.
Like, wow.
And then it ties in with the renaissance the country is having in culture and art and music. With Burna Boy and all these things going on, all these things we just kind of mesh together and elevate the country and the opportunity for the stakeholders to make more money.
Yeah, it could all be so
the
simple.
right way.
But instead, they have to
Instead
embezzle
of they have
funds.
to not do the right things.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite player right now in the Nigerian team?
It's hard for me to say favorite. I'll just say kind of a handful of players that I like. Obviously Osimhen, and I like Chukwueze, though he's not been
Chukwueze's good,
consistent with his injuries and things. I like Olaina, like Zaidu.
Yeah.
I like Iheanacho. I like Aribo, though his pace slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Iwobi. So these are like the ones that I can think of now. And then this new boy that's making waves now in Belgium, Gift Orban.
I've seen his
I've
name.
watched his highlights.
Very young, right?
Very young, yeah. I watched his highlights. He's very interesting. It's very interesting. And then
Don't you have a striker that's on loan at Sociedad, Sadiq or something?
Sadiq Umar.
Yeah. Is he at
Yeah,
Sociedad or did I make that up?
Yeah, so did Sadiq in Spain, Almeria.
Spain. Oh yeah, it's somewhere in Spain. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
okay.
He's okay.
He's
He
okay.
has potential. He doesn't have speed.
No.
But he could,
Good in the air.
yeah, good in there, good with his feet, can hold on to the ball. Not very stable, tendency to slip and fall,
Yeah, not the most coordinated.
But he's very talented. He's very gifted, and he scores. Scores on good days.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many goals he has for the national team. Probably
less than 5.
Yeah, I would say 3 maybe.
He hasn't been making appearances enough to be judged on that.
Okay, last question. AFCON has so many different winners. I feel like it has to have the most number of unique winners of the continental tournaments. Why do you think there's so much parity in this tournament?
Africa has 53 countries playing under that banner. So the volume of people playing is more than other places. So the chances of you kind of perpetuate dominance over others is not going to work, because everybody brings their talent. Africa has a lot of talented players spread all over. So it takes a little bit of tinkering here and they get it right, or tinkering over there and they get it right. So basically more countries, 53 countries. So the chances of one country or two dominating everyone else for generation. No, it's hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you know the only country that's won 3 in a row?
It's
Early 2000s.
it's Algeria. No,
Egypt.
I was gonna say Egypt.
They won 3 in a row. It's
Yeah,
the
I
only
was gonna
time
say
it's
Egypt.
ever happened in AFCON.
Right. I was gonna say Egypt. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting with I know you're not an Egyptian footballing expert, but when you look at superstars, they don't have that many superstars. Like now they got a Salah, but a lot of their team, I mean, you could argue their second best player is El Neni, who's a bench player for Arsenal.
Infrastructure, administration, doing the right things off the pitch, that counts so much. That's what Nigeria is missing. Just the opposite. Nigeria has the abundance of talented people, but they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the management. They don't have the right politics. They don't do the right things. So this will suffer. So, but when you have the infrastructure, you can thrive with mediocre players. If you have the right infrastructure, right people running things, that's why they thrive.
Yeah.
And then they have this, it has helped them over the continental club tournaments, where you have Zamalek and El Ali. They've dominated because they know how to get it done. So that kind of filters into the national team too. That structure of doing the right thing, of having the right infrastructure, of doing things properly, of managing your resources and talent and building support for the players to thrive. You win things, and once you taste that success, you don't want to step back from it again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, stronger. Definitely one of the strongest domestic leagues in the continent.
Exactly.
I'm sure that money, like you said, filters back into the FA, who can then...
Exactly, who can then invest more, and they'll plan again to do it the next year. And they can't afford not to have that money the next year. They do anything possible.
Yeah.
And they have a better league that they can siphon players from other parts of Africa, like Amoneke played in Egypt. And, players that don't make it to Europe migrate to North Africa, especially Egypt.
Yeah.
To plot their way to further greener pastures, or stay there and thrive on that level.
Yeah It's a fascinating situation where on paper to find out that Egypt is the most successful African team would probably surprise most casual football fans, but like you said, having a strong domestic league, having probably better administration, probably better infrastructure. And I think there's a benefit to having a lot of your players playing in the same domestic league. They're familiar with each other.
Exactly.
More camaraderie.
It helps, yeah.
Maybe less infighting internally as well.
Exactly.
Results in Egypt being the best African team, which again isn't something I would have guessed, when I started watching the sport.
Yeah, they were doing these things when they were hiring coaches and managers of, high caliber before other countries knew the values of that.
Right.
They were doing the right things. I remember in the 70s, when you read about the 70s, they would talk about El Ali and Zamalek. They were very fearsome teams that were doing great things, and they were doing the right things. Yeah. So they have a tradition of how to succeed, and they follow it. They've been going like that. Yeah.
Right.
So even when they don't have superstars or stars, they're still very compelling.
Yes.
Yeah, they still get good results.
And we've been talking about it the entire time, when it comes down to managerial appointments. Like at the last AFCON, they have Carlos Queiroz, who might not be a tier 1, but it's still a manager who's won stuff
exactly
at the international level or the club level. And it's just, Nigeria just doesn't have a manager like that. It's like they got less money, they got less organization, and they got a worse manager, but they have better players. So it's...
I like it that this current coach wants to win the Nations Cup. At least it's a step up from the last one.
You got to be Guinea-Bissau.
Right. It's a step, but at least saying it verbally, like we're gonna win. It's important.
Yeah.
It's important, even if he doesn't have the tools or the innate skills or experience to do that. At least it's better than the last one, who normally says that we hope to make it out of the group.
That's true. That's true. But 5 losses from 7 games,
Of course.
Miserable.
Because he's wallowing in a culture that accepts mediocrity.
It's tough to change culture.
Yes, the mediocrity. There's always excuses. Oh, the plane came in late. Oh, we flew in at night. Oh, we were exhausted. Oh, there are always excuses that they accept it. Oh, the pitch was. Oh, they didn't bring food on time. Oh, there's always excuses. So it's innate. It's riddled in the culture. So that's what holds people back.
Yeah.
When you are not setting your goals for towards excellence, then that's the result you get.
I agree. Chu, that was all that I had to ask you about Nigeria. I feel like we covered so many freaking topics.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I'm going to have to watch this back and chop it up into little video segments. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off here?
Yeah, it's great. It's an opportunity for me to share this, and coming from me, whom I believe in myself that I'm a very, very keen observer that can give you opinion without the sentiments of fandom. Like I said, it allows me to really look at things judiciously, objectively.
Yeah.
So I try to do that. Even if we're talking about European or world soccer, I'm always the one to give you my opinion. I'm not encumbered or hindered by affiliation or commitment to a team or a country, even though I have Nigerian heritage, but I can turn around and tell you, like we've had done in the past couple of hours, the problems. So I'm not blinded. So I'm happy, and
that's rare.
Yeah, I'm happy that you gave me the opportunity to share that, objectively, and I look forward to more conversation like this.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna have more conversations.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Of course, thank you for taking so much of your time to come over here after work and talk ball.
It's okay, my pleasure. Shout out to your people. Hi everybody. Thank you for hanging on for this much time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, guys, I will put a link to Chu's artwork down below in the description. You can go check it out. Let us know what you think of this episode down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on streaming platforms, please consider giving the podcast a 5-star rating. We will have more content like this in the future, and I don't want you guys to miss that. So make sure you subscribe and stick around. We appreciate you guys for watching or listening, and we'll see you on the next one.